Alright, and we're here with the Gregtech 6 update for 05.18 and 19. And this is a big one. Transformers were ninja fixed because the person that did the testing of converters apparently didn't do a good enough job. And solar flowers got broke and they didn't work. So that was ninja fixed, but 19 came out a day after, so shouldn't need to update again for the ninja fix. Just get 19. Compat for Et Futurum jump and lingering potions are now brewable by Gregtech 6 meaning these distilleries. We don't have that mod, so we can't show you, but the next thing is distillation recipes for potions plus glowstone, redstone, gunpowder, and similar are now added. So you can see that water in here with what used to be nether wart will now give you your awkward brew. That plus the magma cream will give you the fire resist brew, and that plus redstone will give you your stretched fire resist brew. And you can either pipe it out, or like she has here, she has a faucet right on the machine, so she can just tap it with the bottles or the cup. She's using the mixing cup there. We'll show you what for in a minute here. Some honey related compat stuff was done. Also, there's now a honey wooden bucket. So now you can fill honey in your wooden buckets. And you can now make the honey thing, glass bottle honey thing here with honey cans, honey bucket, and a honey universal cell with your bottles. And let's see. Pump covers, when placed on fluid pipes, will automatically set themselves to input into the pipe instead of emitting from it per default. So now you won't have to set them every time, only if you're trying to pump out of a pipe, which you don't typically do. So that's a nice thing. It'll save on our screwdrivers. Same thing for the conveyors and item pipes. So pumps and conveyors are that way now. What she was doing with the fire brew there is she's putting it in this bathing pot, and you can now put Gregtech logs in the fire brew. Has to be the stretched, and you get fireproof versions of them. They look identical to the regular, but they're fireproof. And Crazy's been doing some testing with it back here, and she put it right next to some lava to show that it is not catching on fire. It actually had caught on fire, but it only had the animation on top. And I do believe Greg has fixed that, because we have not seen that yet since he's seen it in the stream. So now she can rebuild her wall. Single block dynamos now have a 31.25% loss instead of a 25% loss. It does reduce the output of them, so check your setups if they are slightly fragile. Input values remain unchanged, so no explosions. We've had no difference around here as far as things outputting enough to run. This setup we have here is running just fine, and so is Junior's power plant in the back. So other than getting a little less power, everything's running fine. He changed back the honeydew fermenting recipe for biomass, which is awesome because the honeydew didn't have much of a use without being able to make it into biomass. So now you can again use honeydew with all of your plant things to make your biomass. And another change that he made is it takes 16 EU versus the, if I can find it here, I think EU, or not the EU, the ticks. Let me find the right one here. Crap. Honey takes 96 ticks, where honeydew takes 100. Wait a minute, that's backwards. $96 ticks. That's honey. That one's 128, and that's honeydew. Alright, let's check for both rotten. Because it's supposed to be the other way around. Honeydew is supposed to be better. Let's look at, well, we ain't got to jump through 100 different things. 96 for fruit juice. Honeydew is 64. Okay. And then 96 for honey. So it must be different for that one I was looking at that showed 128. It must be a higher thing there. But as you can see with that, honeydew is actually a quicker way of doing it than what honey is, or juice. Let's see. Fermenter recipes that don't need an item input now require a selector tag, as you can see with this here. That's how the honeydew is able to be added back without having any issues. That way short mead doesn't get mixed up in the where's that fermenter? Let's get back here where we were. Selector tag of 0, and also the wooden barrels will work just like they have the selector tag of 0 in them, so you can still do your fermenting in barrels without an issue. Where's the, there's got to be 200 daggone things in here for me to try to find. I like the texture he's got on these brews though. It's kind of iridescent look to them. It's kind of awesome. Forget it, we'll do it the easy way. So, short mead, fermenting, honeydew, short mead, and it needed the selection. It needs the selector tag now. That was actually getting in the way of the honeydew for items, so that's why I added the selector tag thing. Alright, wasted enough time on that. IC2 ores will be disabled by default now. Does not apply for IC2 rubber trees. The price of the large coils. This was an awesome change. These are for the dynamo, which we'll see here in a little while. They used to be 16x annealed copper wires. They are now 4x, which makes them a heck of a lot cheaper. The Gregtech dynamite sticks now automatically have Fortune 2 on them, meaning their explosions will drop more items. We can't show that here because we don't have dynamite set up here as of yet. But I will test that out on Thylacraft where I do have it, now that the Thylacraft servers are back up. And now we'll come out here to the new building, and we'll show you the 2 of the 3 new multi-blocks. Due to all the work I had to put into these 2, I do not have the third. The third is just a dense version of the small tanks. So now you have small tanks that are regular and dense. The dense ones hold 4 times as much, I do believe it says here. Let's see. I'm trying to find where it says here. Dense version, small metal tanks cost 9 times more metal, 4 times more capacity. So there you go. Same exact thing as the other ones, just a little bit more expensive and hold more stuff. So here is the setup that we built for the 2 new multi-blocks, and we tested it out on the live stream of the day. It makes a butt ton of power. And this is the multi-block turbine and dynamo. The turbine is from here to here. It is a 3x3x4. The control block goes on this front, coming right out of one of the boiler ports. And then the dynamo starts here with its main block right here in the center. And then power comes out the very back. And I will show you here. Let me get this out of here a little bit. This shouldn't cause any issues. That is the texture you'll see on the back right there of your turbine. Here is the, or no, wait a minute, I get into the right block here. There is the main face, the controller of the multi-block, and then there is the controller of the dynamo. So you can see it is a non-hollow multi-block, so you're going to need all dense stainless steel walls to make this thing up, including the one used to make that main one there. There is no ports on it, so it is all dense wall except for that main controller block, where the dynamo is the main controller block with 8 dense walls and then 9 dense walls on the back, 2 coils here. I will do a multi-block build for both of these where I show them and talk about them a little more, building each one in case anybody needs that information. Now, let's see. Multi-block steam turbine. Their tier pretty much matches the one of the large boilers. They do emit 95% of their distilled water rather than 80%. Unlike the small variants, it will void distilled water overflow, so you don't have to worry about it blowing up if you don't save your distilled water, but I definitely would suggest it. Hence why you have the pump on here to store the distilled water or save it. We're actually going to build a big ass tank to hold our distilled water in. It does not automatically output. That's why we have the pump on here. And as Greg calculated it, you should only need an LV pump, which is what we're using there. The front texture is currently a bit small. It is supposed to span over the entire 3x3. Function was more important right now than the look of something that, well, you're technically not going to see. Then you have the multi-block dynamo. Tiers should completely match the corresponding steam turbine. Efficiency is 75%, so their loss is only 25%. So it is better than the small single block dynamo. Now, we will look at these here. In NEI, you have 4 flavors here of the turbine, from Magnalium, which is your stainless steel, dense stainless steel wall with blocks of Magnalium plates surrounding it. Then you have your Trinitanium, which is trinium and titanium alloy around a dense titanium wall. So this one is currently unavailable as far as I know, unless you can find trinium in dungeon loot and then mass fab it. I'm not quite sure why he chose that as your second tier turbine. And then you have graphene for the last one, which is also uncraftable because you can't make graphene at the moment. Tungsten steel wall in the center. And then your vibranium, which is blocks of vibranium around an adamantium wall. So vibranium and adamantium together. And you can see that this one here is 12,288 steam in, 4,096 RU out. And you go all the way up to the one that you should be able to make without any magical crap, is 49,152 steam to 16,384 RU. Now for your dynamo, you have stainless steel, titanium, and tungsten steel, and then the adamantium one. These are 4 long rods, stainless steel for this one, with your dense stainless steel wall, and an RE battery. It's an LV battery, but you kind of crazy if you use anything other than an RE battery. And then you have your titanium, same thing. You also have your 2 tier 6 circuits, which are the same for all of them. The only thing that changes is the material. And these go for 4096 RU to 3072 EU up to 16,384 RU to 12,288 EU. So that is your multi-blocks that were added. Like I said, other than the tank, which is the same basic thing as your regular tank, just dense version. Now in the bug fix updates, batteries and tools effectively only have half the electric capacity due to both charging and decharging, doubling up the energy amount inside the battery. This canceled out each other, meaning it was non-exploitable. That was fixed. Transformers in inverted mode just between 18 and 19 were putting out quadruple the amount of power. And that definitely was true because I upgraded my solar flower to 512 and was able to run my 512 electrolyzer downstairs nonstop and was never seeing any power drop in the batteries here, even at night. So it was definitely an issue that needed to be fixed. And amazingly, no, I wasn't the one that reported it. Either Greg found it on his own or somebody else reported it, because I didn't even catch on to the fact that I was making way too much power because I had upgraded at the same time and wasn't paying attention to just how much was getting ran through. Also, cables no longer count packets that aren't actually transmitted towards burning the wires. So apparently, if you could transfer enough amps through the wire, it would burn even if the amps weren't currently running through it. So now your wire shouldn't burn up quite as easy, I guess. The generifier now has the ability to process multiple times in parallel, similar to the coke oven. So like where the coke oven will do multiple logs at one time, now the generifier will do so, up to 100 processes in one process. So for anybody that's making the generic forestry fruit juice, this thing will be a hell of a lot faster. I know it was slow when I set that up over on Thylacraft GT6, which is one reason why I hadn't set myself up a ethanol production here and been relying completely on oil and methane here. Now, the change that he made is kind of negated by the fact that juices don't have to be generified anymore in order to use them in the fermenter for biomass. So apparently any juice will work now. I didn't see when we were looking through here for biomass the other juices. All I seen was water and distilled water and this Biomes of Plenty honey that has no texture, and regular honey and the fruit juice. But apparently other juices will work. I'm going to test that out later this week on the server. So I'll have to get crazy to make me up a bunch of fruit juice so we can try that. Battery boxes can now charge and just discharge batteries with 2 amps if the battery allows it. All current batteries will not allow it. So apparently he's planning on adding a different kind of battery where you can discharge multiple amps from one battery. But as of right now, we don't have them. Also, the amount of juice that you get for each fruit, most of the time it increased. And Gregtech Juice to Forestry generic juice is now always 1-to-1. He also added in the boxinator and unboxinator a way of making the dust, ingots, gems, plates, gem plates, storage blocks automatically in them. This was brought up due to the need for plates for the these blocks of plates that we needed for the turbine. So if I can find it here, see the boxinator. Apparently it doesn't show in the boxinator you can do it unless you just unless there's not a storage for the concrete plate. Let's look up the actual magnesium one that we needed here. So magnesium plate in a boxinator, and it's only showing the empty crate and the empty fireproof crate. Let's actually try it here. We'll get us 9 titanium plates here and stick it in here, and nothing. So not sure how it's supposed to work, but it definitely is not. So we'll let Greg know that. And I can't check the unboxinator because, well, we blew that up. We didn't feel we had a need for it anymore, so we just nuked the damn thing. And that is it for your update video this week. Magnesium alloy was added to the mixer. I don't want to forget to mention that. So if you're making that magnesium turbine, you can now use a mixer instead of having to do it in a crucible. Crazy, you know of anything I missed? Alright.
No.
So that is it. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like to ask Greg directly, you can go and ask him on his IRC or on the IC2 Gregtech 6 forums. If you choose to leave a comment, I will forward it to Greg if I cannot answer it, and let him send the answer back to you. So have a good one. We'll see you next time.